Hello, fellow heroes. This is Sean, and welcome to Hero of the Table. Today I'm going to talk about my process for making homemade Sculptamold. I actually don't use toilet paper at all, so in this time where this has become a precious commodity, you don't need to use it for the way that I make Sculptamold. I'm not certain about the availability of these products in other countries, but in the US they're pretty available. Most home improvement stores will carry these, or at least the larger ones. First up, you're going to need some plaster. I use DAP plaster. I got it at my local Home Depot. I think it's $15 for a 25-pound bag or thereabouts. Prices probably vary a little bit from place to place, but that's enough plaster. It's going to last you a very long time. Now, if you're just going to do a couple of little projects, you don't need to get that much, but if you're planning to do tables worth of terrain, it might be a good idea to get the bigger bag. The other thing I use for the structure and the mix instead of the toilet paper is cellulose blown-in insulation. This is basically recycled paper that they use to blow into attics, to insulate attics. It's compressed in these packages so that they can get a bunch in for shipping and storage and whatever. But when you open up the package, it becomes a lot more loose, a lot more fluffy. When I mix it with the plaster and then with the water, of course, it's going to condense back down, but it gives you that nice texture to work on and build up your project with. We've got some of the insulation here. You can see I've broken it up. There's a lot of small bits in here. Sometimes you'll get a piece that's a little bit rough or kind of like plastic or something. It's easy enough to pull those out. You'll find them as you're moving it around. Got a little bit of plaster. I'm going to mix some of that in here. I'm actually going to put a glove on because this is kind of messy. So mix it up really well. Then we can add a little bit of water to it once we're ready. We're going to make a little hill. So I've got a piece of foam. I've got some caulk. I'm going to use that to hold the foam in place. Spread that around. I like caulk for holding the foam. I think it grabs pretty well. Just kind of spread it there. I'm just putting that in the middle of my piece of MDF board. Now I'm going to add some water to this, spread it around on here, and give this little hill some texture. You can play a little bit with the mixture on how much water you want to add to the mixture. I think a nice kind of cottage cheesy feel is probably about right. Once you have it mixed, then you're just going to start applying it to your base. Do it in little clumps, spread it around. You want to make sure you don't leave any voids. Try to pack it down a little bit. Spread it around so it's covering everything. Make sure you don't have any edges of the foam poking through. And just kind of go from there. Now we're going to let that dry a bit. And once it's sat for 15 minutes or so, we can come back in with some water and kind of smooth it down. Alright, it's dried up a little bit. Next I'm going to smooth it off so it's not totally dry. And while it's still a little bit wet, I can dip my finger in some water and kind of rub it around, smooth out some of the rougher places, and give it kind of a more polished finish. I'm going to paint this with burnt umber. This will give it a nice solid base color before I do all the flocking. Alright, this is dry now and it's painted. It's a pretty basic hill shape, but it's good to show how it works. Next, I'm going to texture this with some flock. I've got some green grass, fine turf, got earth blend, blended turf, and burnt grass, fine turf. A little bit of variation of color and texture just adds a lot to the look of the hill. So I'm going to spread some PVA glue around on here. Sprinkle this stuff on and see how it looks. finish this hill. It's a pretty simple project, but it will look nice on a table. As you can see, without any toilet paper, you can make your own homemade Sculptamold. I've personally never used Sculptamold myself, so this may not be quite as good, but for the cost of this, you get an awful lot for about 25 bucks. Doesn't really take much time at all, just a trip to the hardware store, mix it up, and you are good to go. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see other videos like this and the other projects that I work on, you can subscribe to my channel. Be sure to click the bell so you get notifications when I post new videos. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook, and there's links to all those in the description. If you have any questions or comments, put it in the comment section. Thanks for watching.